Mm, mm.
It is for. Oh, there we go. Okay. It is Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for watching Sportsbook Review. This is The Audible. I'm joined by my guys, Donnie, RightSide, and the Whale Capper. And it has been a difficult first couple weeks of the NFL season. I am now, after losing my Jaguars team total under 19.5, when that muffed punt happened at the start of the game, my everything changed. Everything changed. Everything about me changed. My happiness changed. I became a person you did not want to watch football with very quickly. I was also on the Titans. That was a mistake. I've now lost 5 straight, and I'm in a bad place right now. I'm upset, but I am very happy to be here with you guys, joined by my guys, Donnie RightSide and the Well Capper. Donnie RightSide, Friday afternoon. How you doing?
I love it, man. We're getting ready for, NFL action this weekend. There's a lot to go over, so many moving parts to Jimmy. But don't worry. Throughout the process of the season, we all go through our ups and the downs. The information is good. We'll make the shrewd decisions. All 3 of us will begin rolling. And we'll start with the original prognostication, Jimmy. We'll just slap you on the wrist when you say, you know what? I like that road NFL Thursday night team. We'll go, no. And we'll save money in the long run, baby.
Yeah, that was just a man, and the Titans too, of all teams to trust. And I didn't take the Titans until till an hour and a half before game time. I finally gave in and took the Titans. Horrible stuff. Whale Capper, how you doing, man?
Happy Football Friday. We got a lot of games left, Jimmy. And I think great point by Donnie about the road teams on Thursday are tough to back. Although I'm going to talk myself into next Thursday's road team.
No.
I think what we saw last night, really, the new offensive coordinator for Tennessee, Arthur Smith, had no idea what he was doing. That was some of the most poorly called offensive game planning I've seen in years in the NFL. They were utterly toothless against a Jags team that really looked kind of lost as well. So. Ugly win for the Jags, but, congratulations, Gardner Minshew getting his first win. And, I love this card this week. This next couple weeks, we're going to dig ourselves out of this hole here, and a lot of good games to handicap.
A lot of good things to look at here on this card. I agree. I hammered everything early. I was very pensive last week, made me very angry. And I still like my Jaguars team total under, even though it didn't come through for me. I do not like backing that road team on Thursday night. I can't wait to hear you back the road team next Thursday night. Let's take a look at this horrifying NFL record. Horrifying for Whale Capper and I, not so much for Donnie RightSide. Can you pop it up there on the screen? Oh, man, added 2 losses to my 6-11. What a disgrace. Yeah. It's a disgrace right now. But we will fix this. There's still time. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. We got Tomorino says, I'm on Minnesota, got -8. Rams, Browns under 49.5, and Colts -3. We got Nikki O in the house, really liking Cincinnati +6. Joe Rich Ramirez, Patrick Slay, Dennis Garcia, Joe Yurkovich in the house. The big guy, Bubba Craig 77, says PS Titans suck. Yes, long balls, Larry ready to get to work. Anyone else loving San Francisco -6 this week? I'm afraid not. I'm afraid less people like it than you might expect. Robert Weimer ready to get to work. What a great group. Truck and 6-6 squad. We got the Grateful Dead. Grateful Dead ready to go. Dexter Rojas in the house. Game Theory, Nutflush Allen, Clint Richardson, Gargoni ready to go. Let's get to work right now, and let's not miss a beat here. We're going to start with Bengals, Bills. Let me pull up the Sportsbook Review odds page, and let me remind you guys that the contest, the $50,000 Pick 6 contest, is ready to roll. And if you are not in right now, if you get in right now, get in before this week goes and put in 6 picks, you will still be eligible for all of the year-end prizes. I'm going to pop this right now into the comment section. There you go. Here's the link. You still have time to be eligible for all of the prizes. All right, let's get to work. Let's hit this SBR odds page right now, and we're going to go to NFL, and let's go. We're going to start with spreads and totals. I'm using Pinnacle opening lines, and we're going to start with the Buffalo Bills game. Bills open at -5. They're now at -6. This total opened at 42. and it's got up to 44, but now we see 43.5 back on. Buffalo on a roll, looking to get to their first 3-0 start since 2011. Their defense has allowed just 22 points if you don't include the interception and the safety in week 1. Josh Allen, 4 70-plus yard touchdown drives against the Giants. Cincinnati has given up 572 yards against the Niners, the 5th most in franchise history. Dalton looks pretty good. 61 completions, 729 yards. And when we broke this game down on Tuesday with Donnie, I was saying Bills have a strong defense. Their offense is not very good. I don't think we've seen Cincinnati do nothing on the ground. Is the under in play? I've yet to make a move on the Bills or the under, although I'm interested in both. Let's start with you, Donnie, RightSide, Bengals, Bills.
Yeah, not a lot has changed for me in this game since we talked last on Tuesday about Cincinnati. Because, boy, you look at a football team that was competent week 1 versus the Seattle Seahawks, and then you look at a team that was completely incompetent and gives up over 500 yards of offense to Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan. But on the flip side, now you're looking a little bit different element here for the Buffalo Bills. We always liked about those feisty guys, getting 5 at home, getting 7 at home over the past couple of years, and they will play well. They're going to have a nice home field advantage. But now we go from, the team that you're trying to hunt another team down to now you're the hunted. You got to win this game by 7+ points, based on the numbers, if it stays at 6 or 6.5 at about game time, in order to cash this ticket. That gives me a little bit of pause. Now, also, something that comes out a little bit, I like Josh Allen, and I'll tell you each and every week on here, as long as he's healthy, he's great for that weekend because he's going to run 7, 8, 9, even 10 times in a football game, and 3rd and 3s and 3rd and 4s now seem manageable because he can get it. But one of those underlying factors, we know we get out of Frank Gore. He's going to give you an honest effort, but barely ever gets injured. But you're going to lose a little bit of speed in the backfield with Singletary now out for this football game. And, rookie running backs overall, they do lose a little bit of luster. They don't really factor into the spread, but sometimes in the game, if we look at the first 2 games, Jimmy, 6 carries for 57 yards against the Giants, 9.5 yards per carry, 4 carries for 70 yards versus the Jets. He has that big play spurt ability in the backfield that's not going to be there. I'm struggling trying to find myself. Do I think the Bills are a better football team? Absolutely I do, but I'm struggling trying to say, you know what? Try to justify laying a 6 here with the Buffalo Bills.
6. Jake Bell saying Bills -6, their biggest favorite in over a decade. Vitalis says, I like the Bills, but -6 any higher, I say no way. Robert Weiner says, like the Bengals, Bills are better than I thought, but they will find a way not to cover the big 6 points. Tom Marino says, Bills haven't earned the right to be 6-point favorites. They've beaten 2 bad teams. Bengals still have talent with Atkins, Dunlap up front. I'm on Cincinnati. That's from Tom Marino, Tomor. Whale Capper, Bills, Bengals.
I agree. 6 points is an awful lot, especially when the Bills don't have that spurt ability in the backfield. That's a problem. In seriousness, though, the Bengals are probably the side here. I would have backed them if I had the stomach to go back to the well with this team. They let me down so significantly last week against the Niners. They were so unprepared. Their defense was so toothless that I can't justify, making another play on these guys for a little while here until they sort some things out. I think they should give they should give the Bills a run for their money. I think the Bills get a win here. But Bills could go 3-0 and be absolutely in the driver's seat for a playoff wildcard spot. They're probably your fifth seed in the wild card, which is crazy to say, especially since what was their win total preseason? 7. That got bet up like crazy. Then those guys are going to get rewarded. So congratulations if you were a Bills wins over backer. I think you're going to get to 3-0 here. And as far as a total goes, I think the under is probably the right look. The Bills defense should be the differentiating factor in this game. This probably ends something like 24-20, 23-20 Bills. But I'm staying off this one.
Staying off this one. This was a division that we broke down very early, 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago, and I put $400 on the Dolphins under 5.5, $400 on the Bills over 6.5. They were both heavily juiced.
5.5, unbelievable, yeah. Unbelievable. They may not score 5.5 touchdowns this year, let alone 5.5 wins. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I like it. I like those spots that I jumped on early, and then Joe Yurkovich in our chat, he's the guy who got me to pump my brakes. But also, I love the look that you got me on future-wise, Whale Capper, the under 1,125.5 yards for Le'Veon Bell, have 200 on that. So even though my record looks bad right now, my futures look very good. We still have a ton of hope. I'm staying off this game. I like your guys' breakdowns. I agree with the Bills winning this game, but should they be 6-point favorites at this point? We shall see, and I'm not going to make a move on it. Here's another move I have yet to make either. And Donnie pretty much talked me off of the Cowboys, and I agreed with everything he said. in our show last Tuesday. I have no move.
By the way, real quick break here, Jimmy. I apologize. The Patriots just released Antonio Brown. Adam Schefter reports.
Oh my gosh! Wow!
Wow!
Wow! Antonio Brown released. Wow! Oh, that was very, very worth it, Donnie. Wow, that is absolutely nuts. Antonio Brown released. Okay, let's move over to this Dolphins-Cowboys game. What a mess. What an absolute mess here with the fish. It just keeps getting worse. Their total opened over 47.5, minus 110 is now juiced to the under, but still 47.5. And money coming in on the Cowboys. It was minus 21 when Donnie and I were here on Tuesday. There was 21.5s, and now there's 22.5s. There's 23s. There's a 23.5 as well. Unbelievable money coming in. And I get it. I absolutely get it. We'll have Josh Rosen going to be starting. That's a quarterback replacing Fitzpatrick. Dolphins have been outscored 102-10 in 2 games. The Cowboys, on the other hand, they're rolling. They haven't started a season with 400-plus yards and 30-plus points in each of their first 2 games since 1978. We talked about Gallup being hurt. They also have Xavier Woods with an ankle injury, Antoine Woods with a knee injury, unlikely to play. But are they going to need him? Unlikely. I've got no move here. Donnie, RightSide, are you making a move on Dolphins-Cowboys?
I don't have an official move on this, but look, we're getting into these just absurdities. I mean, if we didn't think like 13s and 14s, they don't really show up, and the 17s and 18s and the 19s, now you're asking a football team, a professional football team, that they need to cover roughly by 4 touchdowns in order to get the ticket, which is absolutely astounding, especially in today's day and age. Do I think the Dolphins might be able to get shut out in this football game? I actually do. But we'll talk about the game, which obviously that big news that just broke here, looking at the New England Patriots game. If I were to take one of these 2 underdogs, I'd still would take the Miami Dolphins as opposed to the Jets. I think you're at least get some competent quarterback play. Are the skill positions up to Josh Rosen at least getting 14 points in this game against a very good Dallas defense? I mean, obviously, that's going to be something that we're going to have to ponder here. But the point that we talked about a little bit even earlier today, Jimmy, on your show in the morning, is I don't know if the Dallas Cowboys are going to have their pedal to the metal. They know they're picking up a victory here. It's a wrap in this game. Roll your helmets out here. The Dallas Cowboys are going to win this football game. So does that mean that we thrash them in the late 3rd, early 4th quarter? Are we going to be running Zeke into the line of scrimmage? Are we going to be having Dak throw deep and maybe be unprotected where you're not going to have a max protect? It's too many points for me. I don't have this as an official play, but to be quite honest with you, you're going to give me 22 points in this football game. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins.
Wow. I look forward to see if you pull the trigger there. Man, yeah. Whale Capper, Dolphins, Cowboys.
I'm going to echo a lot of what Donnie just said. The Dolphins are the right side here, but, take those points at your own peril. Josh Rosen should be a little bit of an injection of confidence to this team. Ryan Fitzpatrick was completely useless. Completely. That offensive effort that they put out against the Patriots was pathetic. And the defense fought hard for half of football, held the Patriots down 13 points until they, the dam finally broke there. And they're going to have a tough task this week because the Cowboys play a pretty impressive offense at home. Cowboys just top to bottom look like an absolute unit this season. Cannot wait to see how they match up against the Saints next week in the Superdome. Obviously, the Saints with a backup quarterback. The look-ahead line for that is Cowboys minus 2.5 on the road on Sunday night. That's going to be a great test for them. This is not going to be a great test for them. I think you could see some garbage touchdowns here at the end of this when, Rosen finally kind of going up against, some prevent defense finally cashes in. And that should probably decide it one way or the other in the side. And in those kind of situations, I stay away.
And I have stayed away. Let's move on to a game where I didn't stay away, but I wish I had have waited. Broncos, Packers. I'm on the under 42.5 at minus 105. And if you go over to sportsbookreview.com, SBR odds, you'll see the 43s on the board. And it's disappointing. There's even a 44, heavily juiced, but Pinnacle's been hanging at 44 for over 24 hours now. It's strange. I thought they'd move it down to 43. The under 44 is at minus 124. We talked on Tuesday how neither offense is impressed. Green Bay's been very underwhelming offensively. But let's look at it a little deeper now on this Friday show. Denver hasn't forced a turnover or a sack. What is going on with this Broncos pass rush? Why are they not as dangerous as we had imagined? And then we have Fangio, who's gone up against as the Bears defensive coordinator from 05 or from 15 to 18. He went up against the Rodgers-led Packers and had very bad numbers against them. 1-4 in games in Green Bay, 2-5 in matchups all told. Aaron Jones, 116 yards, touchdown, 23 carries in the Packers win against the Vikings. he's looking good. He's looking good, but LaFleur just doesn't seem able to be creative as he's just not using Rodgers the way we expect him to be used. And then the Broncos look like they're going to get, was it Todd Davis and Bryce Callahan missed the first 2 games? Callahan was limited in practice, won't be back, but Davis, he was the leading tackler last season. He will be back. That might be a nice boost. I'm on the under 42.5. Donnie, RightSide, Broncos, Packers.
Look, I agree with you on this one, Jimmy. I really do. Like, when we're taking a look at both of these teams, we're not really looking at a high wire act from the Green Bay Packers, and especially against really good football teams on defense. You saw them get out to the 21-0 lead, and you say, oh, my God. Packers might put up a 40 spot on Minnesota. Watch out, NFL, and they completely got shut down the rest of the way. And if you take a look at opening day, playing a formidable defense on the road with the Chicago Bears, the Bears defense controlled the Green Bay Packers offense. So I'm looking for a little bit of that same edge, and I don't agree with the line move. 43s, 43.5. Now you're seeing 44 at Pinnacle. Like, I'm leaning under in this game more than over, just because the simple fact is, if you take away Devontae Adams or slow down Devontae Adams, there's not that much that the Packers can do to you, and that's still a formidable defense with a really good defensive coordinator on the Denver Broncos side. From a side perspective, looking at this game, do I think Denver can go in and win this football game? Not really, but this demarcation line, I like to say, if it's 7.5, I think I'm really leaning towards taking the Denver Broncos because I see a little bit more lower scoring. I liked what I saw last week, even though the Denver Broncos didn't score all that much. I mean, that's a really good defense they played with the Chicago Bears. And at the end of the football game, minus a ridiculous play by, I want to say maybe the clock keeper where that game should have been over, the Denver Broncos win that football game and maybe have a different perspective. They played an unbelievable defense right down the hill. I think they can keep this game close. I do.
I think they can keep this game close. I have interest in the Broncos. If I took it, I should have taken it at 8 because it's gone down to 7 now at a lot of books. There is still a couple 7.5s handy. Whale cap for Broncos, Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you, Jimmy. And when you're not winning, sometimes you're not seeing the board well. And this is a good example of that. I expected this to continue to go down. I played the under early in the week, and seeing it tick up makes absolutely no sense to me. These are two offenses that I think are generally struggling to find consistency, struggling to find an identity right now. And I regret not playing the Broncos. I think that was probably the correct side here. The Broncos offense has put up some decent metrics. They're not scoring points. You look at, and it's kind of typical of what we've seen from Flacco later in his career here, where he gets into the red zone, he turns over the ball, or he takes inopportune sacks. He's legitimately taking points off the board. On the other side of the ball, Aaron Rodgers is performing at like a bottom third of the league as far as a quarterback performance level to this point in the season. And you can look at the two defenses he played and say, well, he went up against the Bears and the Vikings. Well, what would you expect from him? But clearly there is an offensive scheme aspect to his performance that I don't think the market is reflecting or respecting right now, because this is not working for him. What LaFleur wants to do is not working for them as far as an execution standpoint. You read and hear the coach quotes in the media this week, and it's like they're focusing on trying to get the running back carries more balanced. Like that's not at all what the problem is with this team. And the fact that they haven't got it figured out, I think, is a huge problem. I think the Broncos keep this game pretty competitive, and if the Broncos had any semblance of an offensive line, if they could protect Flacco and give him some time, then I think they're alive to win this game. But I'm on the under for now, and I feel like I took a sucker number.
Yeah, it's irritating that feeling, and it's the only one really that is affecting me in that way. We've beaten a lot of numbers this week, but that one surprisingly has gone up. Victor Lou says Packers easy cover. Jake Bell says Green Bay isn't pulling away in this game. Craig 77 said Flacco a shell of his former self, and interesting stuff here. LA Bout a Bag, though, says Broncos won't be able to score much in Lambeau against this defense. And Vitalis said, if I can get +8, I would take the Broncos right now. Let's move on to the Falcons-Colts spot. We saw this open up with the Falcons +2.5. Now they're at +1. Matt Ryan, man, he's just, I'm very concerned about my futures action. You'd think if Drew Brees was hurt, I'd be in a and the Panthers look terrible, I'd be in a spectacular spot. But even that is moved from +375 to +220. The Saints are still a minus look to win the division. He threw 7 picks all of last season. Right now, Ryan is already throwing 5, 2 in the red zone. Darius Leonard spent the week in concussion protocol. We looks like Pierre Desir is not going to be available with the bruised right knee. We will see. And then this Colts team is getting Jabal Sheard back. It looks like he missed 8 weeks with a knee injury, starting defensive end, Jabal Sheard. Marlon Mack was back at practice today. Indy tied for second in rushing yards, 32nd in passing yards. Falcons 28th in rushing at 65 yards per game. Devontae Freeman 41 yards and no run longer than 9. I mean, what is happening here with these Falcons? I should be sitting here counting that plus 375. I mean, I only had $100 on it, but I should be sitting here counting that as a win, and I'm still very uncomfortable. So uncomfortable that I don't know if I can make a move on the Falcons. Donnie, right side, Falcons, Colts.
Yeah, there's some interesting information coming down the wire because I was on the same wavelength as you with Desir on this week. He gets a limited practice. First week, he comes out with a bone bruise, so they're talking about 2 to 3 weeks. Now, Wednesday has a limited practice. Thursday has a limited practice. You know what today, Jimmy, on a Friday? He had a full practice today. So that'll be a huge boost if Desir ends up being their starting quarterback. He's their best defensive back or best cornerback at this spot. And when you're going up against Julio Jones, what do you need? As many good cornerbacks as you possibly can get. Taking a look at the defensive end position, Toure looks like he's going to give it a go with a full practice. But I am listing Jabal Sheard is out, even though he did get in limited practices all week. I'm going to make that determination a little bit later. But yes, Darius Leonard is a huge key in this football game. He hasn't practiced all week. You're in the concussion protocol. You would at least like those guys to be out there, running around a little bit on Thursday or Friday. It doesn't look like he's going to be the game, which is going to be a miss. But that Desir injury, if he's able to play, is a huge boost. I like what Indianapolis is bringing to the table. And it still gets back to the same notion, Jim, we talked about for the first 2 weeks of the season. We're in rallying mode here. Hey, man, we almost beat the Chargers. Hey, we went out on the road. We just beat the Titans. Now we're going to come back home. We can win this game versus the Atlanta Falcons. I still like them in this spot. I think Atlanta Falcons, you saw a lot of gut and moxie from them in the past game versus the Philadelphia Eagles. But let's make no mistake about it. If we can redo that game, and Alshon Jeffrey plays and is healthy, Deshaun Jackson plays and is healthy, Dallas Goedert plays and is healthy because they wanted to run a lot of 12 personnel and 2 tight end sets. He didn't even make it to the game and got hurt in injury warmups. That game's completely different. The Eagles win that football game. Matt Ryan, I thought, was really underwhelming in that game. 3 out of 4 possessions in the second half with interceptions. His arm strength, I don't know. I mean, look, we've always thrown an odd deep ball to try to give Julio Jones a way to run under the ball, but not a lot of arm strength. I worry about that. And this Indianapolis team is more physical than Atlanta up front. I think their offensive line will control the day. I like the Colts. I think you're getting a cheap price at -1 right here.
The fact that I have this belief in this Falcons team is probably getting in the way of my handicapping because I guess I agree. Colts at home at -1 here. Now, Tomino saying Mac not expected to play. I mean, there's definitely some injury news that you need to follow up on if you are going to back these Colts. Whale Capper, Falcons, Colts at -1. This total open at 47.5, now at 47.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. This is the definition of a coin flip here. I did not take an action on this game. I, kind of weighing all of the pluses and minuses on both the side and the total. I'm seeing kind of compensating angles on, both ways here. We saw, a pretty impressive effort from the Falcons pass rush in that Sunday night game, finally coming to life for the first time in years. But that's going to be completely neutralized by one of the best offensive lines in football with the Colts. Jacoby Brissett hasn't been asked to do much, but he hasn't had to do much. And this is the kind of game where, it will probably come down to coaching. I believe in Frank Reich. I don't believe in Dan Quinn. Frank Reich can coach. Dan Quinn can't. And so for those reasons, it makes sense to me that the Colts are small favorites. If they win, do they win by more than 1? Almost certainly. But I can't get involved at this point. And I'm with you. The Falcons, they've got to show us something. They've got to. Then it's right there for the taking. The NFC South is there for the taking, and it's frustrating as hell that they continue to underachieve. And I'm hanging all of this around Dan Quinn's neck right now. They were lucky to get that win Sunday night. Nelson Aguilar catches that ball in the fourth quarter, and that's a Eagles win. I think that it's going to be anyone that is kind of in our position that has a financial stake in the Falcons this year is going to be frustrated and disappointed.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of guys in the chat talking about looking at the under. Joe Yurkovich says Falcons look to get the run game going under for that reason and more. And then we had our guy, where is it? We had more guys on the under. Why am I missing it? We had more guys on the under. Koji Kimura thinking that Leonard will be out. So we shall see. I still think that we have a good shot at seeing him in the lineup. But a lot of people moving towards the under in this spot. Let's go with you, Whale Capper, quickly. If you had a free play to make on the total, would you move towards the under?
No. I'm staying way clear of that under. There is too much late game shenanigans here. Whoever is down is going to be throwing the ball, and they're going to be able to make something out of that. There's going to be some garbage time points here. This is an indoor controlled environment, fast turf. You have offensive skill position players and the Colts, who we've only seen to this point in the season on outdoors and on crappy fields. They're going to look a lot faster and be a lot more dangerous in the dome. Same sort of story with the Falcons. They can score. This is not a game that I would look for an under. And honestly, like, they're again compensating factors here. The Colts are playing slow. Like, they're eating a lot of clock. They're trying to win it on the ground because they don't want to ask Jacoby Brissett to get it done through the air. But if the Falcons have a lead here, if the Falcons are, in any way, shape, or form efficient in the red zone, then they're going to let him uncork it, and he could throw the ball deep, and he's going to have his receivers available down there because the Falcons' pass defense is horrible. So this is not a game where I would get involved in the under.
Victor Liu also interested in the under. Donnie, RightSide, quickly, we got to keep rolling, but what do you think of the total here?
Yeah, real quick on that. I mean, you saw a game last week where the Eagles were literally playing with one hand behind their back and one leg, and if one catch is made on an easy pitch and catch, that game probably is going over the total for the game. I would be more likely to stay on the over than the under in this one, just because the fact you watch the way Atlanta plays, they're going to bomb away and do a lot of stuff, and I don't think their defense is particularly all that good. And hopefully Indianapolis will be healthy. I actually lean towards an over in this spot.
And Robert Weimer says, Whale Capper right, garbage time may make this an over game. All right, let's keep rolling. Let's move on to I can't believe, right when I got to this game, I was like, why did you say only one game went against you? Because this one really blew up in my face. So now it's not just me overreacting to the Cardinals game. When Whale Capper's getting higher and higher and higher on the Ravens, I still see so many flaws in this football team, and now they go into Arrowhead. I know the Chiefs don't have Tyreek, but I like the Chiefs here very much. And 6.5 now makes me look like an asshole because it got all the way down to 5, and you can get it at 5.5. There's no 5s on the board.
Is that what makes you look like an asshole? No,
is that the only thing? Probably not. Probably not. It's one of the things that makes me look like an asshole. Ravens lead the league in total offense and points. So if you're looking at the stats for the Ravens, come on. I mean, put a line through what happened in Miami. This is a Ravens team that's going to lead the league in offense and points like they have so far. Mahomes, 821 yards, 7 TDs without an interception. This is a more mature quarterback than we saw last year. I don't care if he throws for 50 TDs. He just looks more mature and more in control. So now left tackle Eric Fisher underwent core muscle surgery this week. They could be without both Williams and LaShawn McCoy. I still think that at Arrowhead, these Chiefs roll. It's my 2-unit play. I'm all over it. Donnie, RightSide, Ravens, Chiefs.
This is such a tough game, and you're right, Jimmy, because I think your head, with the way you're looking at it, is right. Because if you just forget about the injuries and you take the totality of the season so far through 2 games, it looks like the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, as much as I like to malign them from last year, they're playing their butt off at this point, and they were able to light them up down in Jacksonville. Then they go across country and play the Oakland Raiders and lay 28 points in the second quarter and just cruise to an easy victory. But when you take a look at Baltimore, boy, they've won some sexy games out there. I mean, you're talking about the Dolphins, who flat out stink, but the way they won it was so impressive. And when you see side-by-side stat lines between the quarterback with Baltimore and the quarterback with Kansas City, my goodness, you can't even tell which one is actually the high riser and the flamethrower out there because they're both having unbelievable seasons. But also we saw the Baltimore Ravens last week go against a team that, again, rookie quarterback, rookie coach on the road, 2-touchdown spread, barely escaped with a victory after a couple clutch plays down the stretch in that one. So which Baltimore are we actually going to get in this one? Now, if we're looking at this game on opposite ends of the spectrum and saying, if I just take a look at Kansas City here, you get no Tyreek Hill. That's a huge bummer for them already off the bat. But now you're probably going to be down the way it looks, both running backs. And if you get LaShawn McCoy in this football game, wasn't very good last year to begin with, and now you're going to get him in this football game with already a hobbled ankle. So the running game is going to be, I don't want to say shut down, but you don't have that, elusive guy in the backfield that can spring you for a big play. Kelsey's an unbelievable, tight end, and they're going to have some great play calls because Andy Reid. And again, you're going to be at home in Kansas City, one of the best home field advantages in the entire National Football League. But the more I look at this football game, if I'm getting a completely healthy Kansas City, it might shift and say, you know what, I could see Kansas City by 7. But just looking at the game overall and looking what you can bring to the table from the Baltimore Ravens, I could see Lamar Jackson having another big day out there. He's going to do whatever he wants running the ball. If they get pass rush on him, he's going to be able to convert those 15, 20-yard runs that he's seemingly got with ease over the first 2 weeks. I actually agree with the line movement here. If you're talking about maybe, a little bit less in the 4 or something like that, it's hard to win in the National Football League on the road. But I got to say, I'm leaning towards the Ravens here at this point, Jimmy.
A lot of people in the chat are as well. Game Theory 101, Ravens plus 6.5. Trotwam, I like Baltimore. Dennis Garcia says Arizona outgained Baltimore by 0.4 yards per play. Baltimore kicked 3 field goals last week, only got 2 TDs. If they don't score TDs here, they can't keep up. Robert Weimer liked the under, but the line has moved a couple of points. Baltimore will run all day. KC Bomey pretty good by shutting it down in the second half last week. Whale Capper, Ravens, Chiefs.
This is a big one. Really and truly, this is going to matter when we come to the end of the season and these teams are jockeying for playoff seeding. One of these two teams is likely not going to have a bye, and that's going to be a huge issue in terms of their chances to win the Super Bowl. So this is going to be a big game. I backed the Ravens in this one. I have an expectation that we're going to see something different from them in offense than what we've seen through 2 games this season. We know they have an absolutely dynamic running attack ready to go, and they haven't had to deploy it because teams have been giving them, wide open passing lanes deep down the field, daring Lamar Jackson to beat him with the deep ball, and he's been doing just that. This game, though, I don't think you necessarily want to take home run shots if you're the Ravens. I think you want to play ball control. I think you want extended drives because the best chance you have of winning this game is if you score 38 points if you score 30 points and you keep the Chiefs under 30. And the only way to keep Pat Mahomes at this point in his career, at this, with the weapons he's got at his disposal, the only way you keep that guy under 30 is if you keep him on the sidelines. He could have scored 42 in that game against the Raiders with his eyes closed. There were some weird penalties and some weird calls that kept some points off the board for the Chiefs there. And no points in the second half was a little bizarre there. I think the Chiefs are a dynamic offense, and I think the Ravens are going to have to play a little bit of keep away. But the thing that I like is they have the unit to do it. I think this comes down to whoever has the ball last. I think this is going to be a coin flip kind of game, and I grabbed 6.5 early here, expecting this to be a pretty tight contest. Actually, I think I had +6. I sold down to +6 a little earlier to get a nice plus money score. This is going to be a tough contest, and we're going to learn a lot about whether my Ravens bullishness is warranted based on how they perform in this game. Because if they can't slow down the Chiefs, then this is probably a 2-team race in the AFC.
Interesting. So a bunch of stuff coming in. First off, Nico says, forget the techno analysis. Line makers want you to take the Chiefs. See, I looked at this line and I was like, oh, line makers want you to take the Ravens. That's what I thought at 6.5. I thought, man, that's a lot of points. And then we have stuff coming in with Eddie Euler saying heavy rain could be a classic kind of game. Give me the points. And yes, it says pack ponchos and rain gear this weekend. Kansas City Chiefs game expected to be wet. 100% chance of participation. If you think there's going to be a lot of rain here, does that make you like the under a little bit more? Why don't we start with you, Donnie RightSide?
What was that? I'm sorry, Jimmy, cut out there. What was that?
It's just that there's going to be a lot of rain and thunderstorms on Sunday in Kansas City Arrowhead. Does that make you like the under more than you did?
I mean, anytime you get rain in the forecast, it's going to make you lean towards that direction. But it's interesting because, sometimes we'd like to jump ahead of it. Like, I'm reading some forecast there that it's going to be rainy for the pregame, and then it'll clear out because that is going to make but these fields are so pristine condition. As long as they don't get a deluge of 4 or 5 inches of rain, I don't think there's going to be too big of a difference in that factor. So if you say on the outside looking in, it probably does help the Ravens, and it probably does help you on the under.
Yeah, the under is becoming more appealing knowing that that's the weather situation. What do you think, Will Camper?
Makes sense to me. I think the Ravens and the under are pretty highly correlated here. Like either their games, the game goes per their script, per the way they would like it to go, where there's fewer drives and fewer possessions and fewer opportunities for Mahomes to cut them. Or it goes the way of the Chiefs, in which case the Ravens are constantly playing catch-up. They can't afford to do ball control, and Harbaugh is a good coach. He's going to go for it on 4th down. He's going to go for touchdowns, not field goals. And so it's a little bit of a dicey situation, especially with this high of a total. If it is as bad as they're saying, and it is pouring rain all all day, all throughout the game, then yeah, the under is kind of in play. But throughout history, we have mostly seen that precipitation is a little overblown as far as totals go. It mostly comes down to whether or not there's wind, because that affects the kicking game, that affects the deep pass, and really that's how the Chiefs are going to put points on the board in this one. So I would look more towards the wind here and keep an eye on that. If that ticks over 15 miles an hour, then that's probably a sign that we're going to see some under money come in. But I'm going to stay away from this total.
I get it, staying away from this total. At this point, wind is set to be at 11 miles per hour, 73 Fahrenheit. 100% precipitation, not looking very good there. Let's go to the Raiders-Vikings game. This has been interesting. As soon as it got to 9.5, I probably should have pulled the trigger. I understand why I didn't. I was nervous backing these Raiders, but they're sort of nomads, and this opened at 7.5 for the Raiders. It got up to 8.5, and then here it got up to 10 2 days ago at 3:42, and that lasted for 16 minutes before it went back to 9.5. It's now back at 8. And man, 10 seems like a pretty nice spot right now. Donnie RightSide talked about having interest in the over when we did this on Tuesday. And man, Cousins looks bad. He just looks bad. The question is, can Oakland slow down Dalvin Cook, leading the NFL in rushing? Josh Jacobs, man, he's got 184 rush yards in 2 games. 4th in the NFL. Cousins' second worst completion percentage of his career and 3 turnovers in that loss against Green Bay. Raiders could get a boost on the offensive line by Richie Incognito. Who knows really what he's going to bring to the table. Raiders are tied for 5th in the NFL with an average of 2.83 points per drive on their first possession since the start of 2018, and that just starts dropping and dropping and dropping. 1.46 points per drive following their opening possession. That just makes it sound like Gruden has a plan early, and then he has to coach, and that might become difficult for him. Raiders, Vikings, I liked it at 9.5 or 10. I've not made a move on this game. Donnie RightSide, you were interested in the over. Are you still?
Yeah, I like the over in this game. I think it's a better way to do it. Look at the side, because again, we're talking about Kirk Cousins. You want him to win a football game, or do you want him to actually win by double digits? It's hard to trust Kirk Cousins in any one of these spots. Now with Oakland Raiders, what do you get out of them? I don't think their defense is particularly that good, which means yes, Dalvin Cook and those wide receivers and Kirk Cousins should be able to get off in this football game. And even if the Oakland Raiders are down, John Gruden's going to throw them out. And what I mean by that is you're going to look at 40, 45, 50 passes coming out of the Oakland Raiders. I see more points in this game. If this was maybe lined 47, 48, probably would back off, but if I'm going to get a number somewhere in that low 40, 43, 43 and a half, I think it goes over. But I just don't want to put my money at. I like Minnesota. I think they're a really good football team, but it comes down to too many times seeing Kirk Cousins make the easy throw, make the right decision, put the football game away, and can't do it. I'm going to lay off the side. I do like the total, though, going over the 43, 43 and a half.
Donnie liking this total to go over, laying off a side. Whale cap or Raiders, Vikings?
This looks like a very fair line to me at 8. I don't have a look either way here. I was very high on the Raiders last week. I got tricked by their performance on Monday Night Football Week 1, where their offense looked like it had a spark. But it turns out this Raiders team cannot play from behind. The minute they were down any points to the Chiefs, they turtled. And that's not a sign of a dog that you want to back, especially a dog on the road. So this was an easy one to stay away from here. The Vikings defense does look like it's for real. The 21 points that they gave up to the Green Bay Packers, in my opinion at least, were a little fluky. They were a little kind of caught by surprise with the approach that the Packers rolled out in that game. And as soon as they adjusted, they shut that team out for the rest of the contest. So this is going to be a tough road to hoe for the Raiders, and I think this is the start of schedule hell from them. Like, this doesn't get any better from here. You look at their next handful of games, they're going to be touchdown plus dogs in like 4 or 5 more in a row here. The next time we look up and they're at home, they could be 1-7. Like, this is about to go real sideways for this Raiders squad.
They're in a very tough spot schedule wise. They're going to be off to London, England here in a couple of weeks as well. They could easily be 1-7 next time we look up. That's the Raiders Vikings spot. Let's move over to Jets Patriots. Patriots just destroyed the Steelers and the Dolphins 76-3. Now they face a Jets team which they've just beaten up. Luke Falk makes his first NFL start. 20 for 25 for 198 yards, but man, very difficult to trust him. Falk was with Gase last season in Miami. Tremaine Johnson, comes into the season as the number 1 cornerback and then is replaced replaced by Nate Hairston. I don't know what we're getting from the Jets. We know they have a ton of injuries with Quinnen, a ton of injuries up front. And then I still think their defense is good. I still see this as the best defense the Patriots have seen. But do we expect them to score anything? So now I missed out on the 45.5 on the under. I probably should have taken that. But the Jets team total under is at 10 or 10.5. If you can get it at 10.5, that sounds appealing. Does the under still have value? And are you going to make a move on this play, Donnie RightSide, Jets Patriots?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I think they were probably going to try to integrate Antonio Brown a little bit more into this football game. But having said that, 22s and 23s, they're disappearing quickly. And now you're seeing a Pinnacle Offshore -21 on SBRodds.com, Chris -21. So now you're getting that buyback. And I love it. Antonio Brown is no factor in this game. I'm not looking at Antonio Brown and saying, I don't know if they can cover the line now. It's simple. The simplest part of this football game is the Jets are an abomination on offense. It's Le'Veon Bell and absolutely nothing else. They're going to send Luke Falk out to play in New England when they just play. Last time I saw in New England, you had a Hall of Famer in Ben Roethlisberger and a pretty good offensive line, a pretty good offense, absolutely get ripped apart for 3 points. So now we're saying coming into this football game, the Jets are going to get 2 touchdowns in this game, maybe even more. I think the New England Patriots absolutely lay waste to this team, and now you're only getting value. So instead of that 23 points, which means you probably got to win by 4 touchdowns, now it looks like you might even be able to slip under that number of maybe 20.5 or 20 and be able to slip under 3 touchdowns. Patriots lay waste to this Jets football team, and I still do like the under in this football game, Jimmy.
Yeah, I like it too, but I just hate getting so late to the party. Pinnacle opened this up at 46, now 43.5, and we've already seen books take it down to 43 because of AB not being there. I agree with that breakdown quite a bit. Whale Capper, Jets, Patriots.
Whew, man, this Patriots team has everything going for them. They cut Antonio Brown today, huh? That's probably good for them in the long run. They don't need that distraction, I guess. I would say in this particular contest, I agree with 100% with Donnie's breakdown. Antonio Brown was not going to be a factor. Patriots are going to get it done on offense however they feel like it with, kind of spreading it around. They've got so many different ways to attack you. And the Jets are severely limited by injuries right now on defense. And on the offensive side of the ball, we saw the Jets, they had 2 legitimate weapons on offense in Le'Veon Bell and Robbie Anderson that they poured their hearts out in that performance against the Browns on Monday Night Football. Le'Veon Bell especially, he really, really left it all out there on the field. He was like, I know I'm in prime time and I got the money and I'm going to show everybody that I'm still a factor in this league. And it was impressive to watch. But all that said, they don't have the horses on the offensive line to open up blocking lanes for him. He's doing it all by himself. And if I would look for anything in this game, I'm probably looking for a receptions over prop for Le'Veon Bell. He's the perfect safety valve for a young quarterback who only looked like he knew about 20-30% of the playbook. And I would expect that he gets the check down look pretty often in this one because the Patriots will give them that. Every 3rd down and 8, the Patriots will give them, a 4-yard reception for Le'Veon Bell. So they can't make that receptions prop high enough. It's probably going to be like 5.5 or something crazy like that, juice to the over. And I'm still probably going to bet that over. And until further notice, I think that's really the only thing these Jets can do on offense. And the Jets head into their bye week after this ass kicking probably. And come out with a healthy Sam Darnold. Maybe they can reset their season. But everything I'm seeing and everything I'm getting from the Jets to this point in the season looks like a complete lost season for them. And Adam Gase probably needs to be let go, and they need to start from scratch here with year 3 under Sam Darnold.
I agree with that, and you spoke of it in our breakdowns months ago and I completely agreed that there was no higher volatility in a win-loss total than what we were going to see with the Jets. Now it turns out it's because of Darnold getting hurt, but it still factors in. Let's move on to Lions Eagles. This is a market move I did beat, but I could have beaten it worse. It did open up the total at Pinnacle at 48.5. I mean, I got in at 47 on the under. It's now down to 45 or 45.5 at some books. The Lions also opened up +8, and that should have been taken advantage of. I did not take advantage of that. It's now 6 or 5.5 because this is a banged up Phillies team. And when I simply put it to Donnie on Tuesday, it was Detroit's offense is bad. Philly's offense is banged up. Let's just take the under. So the Eagles will know from Donnie, will likely be without Jeffrey with the calf strain, Alshon Jeffrey with the calf strain, and Jackson with the abdominal injury. So we're going to see Arcega Whiteside and Matt Collins, and then Nelson Aguilar in the slot. The Eagles have only 2 sacks in the 2 games. They've already lost 2 defensive tackles to injury, Malik Jackson, and then Fletcher Cox sustained season injury foot. So, this is a spot where the under was screaming at me. I jumped on it. I still really like it. I don't know if I would take it at 45, but I guess I may, but I got it at 47, minus 116. And I think maybe the Lions still have value at 6. Donnie, right side, Lions, Eagles.
Yeah, no, just it's simple in this football game. When you watch the game on Sunday night when the Eagles lost to everybody, if you know sports, if you know the way the body reacts when they're talking about, after the game, Doug Peterson in complete lie mode, if it was a real game we needed, they would have gutted. No, they weren't going to gut it out. You don't, as a skill position player, you don't gut out groin injuries. You don't gut out calf injuries. And people say, I want to wait to see the practice report. I jumped on that game immediately as soon as that game was available on Monday morning and we were able to hammer it once you saw eventually was going to. I didn't need to see any practice reports, and that Doug Peterson's still saying today, boy, Alshon Jeffrey, not going to rule him out yet. He hasn't even taken the practice field yet this week. You have a whole season to worry about. And also, yes, the Green Bay Packers next week on Thursday Night Football. So looking at injuries and the way they work, I think all 3, Deshaun Jackson will be out for this football game. Deshaun Jackson will be out for the Packers. Dallas Goedert's probably not going to take the field this week. Alshon Jeffrey will be out this weekend and next Thursday as well in Green Bay. That's just the way the body heals on explosive athletes when you're dealing with calves or groins. These Eagles are going to be, we'll get to that Thursday game next week, which I'm already chomping at the bit for. But just looking at this one as a whole, you saw what you got versus an Atlanta defense last week. You figure coming into the football season, right? These guys don't get a lot of playing time. The Eagles were one of the top 5 offensive lines in football. They were horrific versus Atlanta. Why? Because you're not used to playing full games and you can't keep up to the speed. You're a team built for grass. You go down on the dome. They were embarrassed on the offensive line. So what's going to change this week, Jimmy, on offense when we take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles? Nothing. You're not going to have the 2 best weapons on the outside. Carson Wentz is going to have to grind this football game out. If they were smart, they'd go to a 3-back rotation this weekend, really rely on the offensive line to reload at home on grass and try to slug their way to a victory over the Detroit Lions. When there's no firepower on the outside, doesn't matter what quarterback, where you are, if you take your 2 best weapons away from you, you're going to struggle. And I still digress, Jimmy, back to opening day when they played the Washington Redskins. If Deshaun Jackson was still a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, the Eagles are 0-2 heading into this football game. That's how much he means to that offense. This game's going to be close. Do I think the Eagles will win this football game? Yes. But would I be shocked if the Eagles were up 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns at any point in this game? Absolutely. It's going to be a close, low-scoring football game. Detroit gets the cover here.
I like it. Are you going? And so we'll talk about Donnie's official plays. He's had a ton locked in last week, but I know why he's hesitant here. There's tons of injuries, tons of moving parts, so he hasn't locked in a lot of plays. Is this something you think you're going to have locked in?
It's hard because I wasn't able to get the Detroit line. I still like the Detroit Lions. I think they keep it close. I do think the Eagles win, but I was able to, myself, obviously, being able to get something around the 7.5 range, excuse me, which I do have. But I'm waiting. Maybe a 6.5 pops up, something like that. It's probably going to be official play for me because I still like Detroit. Detroit has an excellent shot at winning this football game outright to me.
Wow, that's wild stuff. Whale Capper, Lions, Eagles.
Yeah, I can't refute any of Donnie's points. We're in lockstep on this one. I backed the Lions on Monday, I believe, at +7, -110. I wouldn't be too shy about getting involved, selling down, get a little aggressive. This is a game where I think Philadelphia only wins if they come out at this with a very conservative approach. They cannot afford to kind of, try to put pressure on the Lions here and make this a shootout because Matt Stafford has he can chuck. He's not winning. He's 1-0-1 so far this season, and it was effective. When he needed to be in that Chargers game, but he's not lighting the world on fire in the stat sheet. That said, this Unity's going up against has some weaknesses. They have some soft spots. The fact that your defensive tackles are so limited for the Eagles plays a little bit into what their offensive approach likes to do in terms of trying to establish the run and then use play action to take deep shots. Like that's a recipe that should work against this Eagles squad. So I'm looking for a pretty competitive effort here out of the Lions, and I wouldn't be shocked by an upset either. And I think under was a great play. That was really a very, very solid play.
That sounds good. I guess maybe going against our very own Jay Peach in the chat, who says never lean Lions, but maybe this is a spot to back them here. Love my spot on under 47 at -116. Okay, let's keep rolling. Got to speed this up a bit. We have Panthers, Cardinals. We now know that there's going to be no Cam Newton playing. Arizona's offense has been good this year, except in the red zone, and it cost them against Baltimore. Settled for 3 field goals after getting inside Baltimore's 5-yard line. David Johnson just doing nothing, 14 rush yards on 7 carries. North Turner says he wants to limit Christian McCaffrey's reps on offense in fear of him wearing down, but man, who do you have other than McCaffrey? I've not made a move on this, but I do have interest in the under, and now that we know that Newton's not in, I actually have interest in the Panthers. Donnie, you got ahead of this market move and did a great job with it. Break this down for us, Panthers, Cardinals.
Yeah, and again, I talked about this morning on the show with you, Jimmy. It's kind of funny the way I'm going to sort of contradict myself in this game. When you're taking a line move that you can get at +2.5 on the Arizona Cardinals, thinking that line's going to move once Cam Newton is officially out, you take it automatically because we're not looking at like a 1-point line move or a half-point line move. It swung all the way, basically 5 points from +2.5 over to -2.5. But that also leads me to believe now to say, like, hey, man, Arizona Cardinals need to win this football game for you to cash it in. Hey, how many wins in the NFL has the quarterback got? 0. How many wins does the coach have? 0 in the NFL. Now they have to actually win this football game in order to cash the ticket. But taking a look, first of all, I want to start with the Panthers and their organizational philosophy right now of, well, we're not going to do that much to Cam, and we're going to let him be on the offseason. We'll get him some surgery. We're not going to run him that much, and then completely do like the opposite and have no idea what's going on. Cam Newton's foot's not hurt. All of a sudden, Cam Newton's foot's hurt again. And now you take a look with that comment that you just made from North Turner, the offensive coordinator. Hey, you know what? We want to limit Christian McCaffrey. Now's the time that you should be giving him 30 touches a game with Cam Newton out, because I don't know what you're going to get out of Kyle Allen. Having said that altogether, now, the way Cam Newton has played, what is he, 0-8 in his last 8 starts? You're not any worse for wear to me by Cam Newton not playing. Now, Cam Newton fully healthy with a good leg and a good arm. That's completely different. But the Cam Newton we got down the stretch last year and in the first 2 football games, he's a horrific quarterback at this point. I think you get negligible difference with Cam Newton being out of this football game compared to what you're going to get out of Kyle Allen. Now, taking a look and saying, do I want the Carolina Panthers to win on the road? Do I think they can win on the road? Not necessarily in this instance, because I really liked what I saw in the second half of the game with the Detroit Lions for the Arizona Cardinals, and I really liked what I saw last week in a competitive effort at Baltimore. But now it's not about being competitive anymore for Jimmy for the Arizona Cardinals. You got to win the football game to get the money this week. Nice line move. I'll take it every time. Arizona Cardinals got him at +2.5.
And now I agree with these guys. Pink Eye Genie says last year, same situation. Daniel starting over Maserati. Mitch makes Bears a better team when 1-1, 26.5 points per game. Allen makes Carolina better. Pink Eye Genie says whole world's on Arizona. Books. Eat. Drinking hands said Jimmy. Cam is out. Lean on the Panthers. Cam is a cancer on the field. And Clint Richardson says, do we like the under in this game? Do we like the under? Oh, man. Well, let's talk about that because it's open at 45 and it's going down. Whale Cap or Panthers, Cardinals?
Yeah, the total is a weird move to me because these are 2 teams that run a pretty higher end of the pace in terms of offense. And Kyle Allen as a backup for Cam's not bad. I don't know that I completely agree with this line move. I think the Panthers are more live in this game with Kyle Allen than they would have been if they trotted Cam Newton out there, given what we've seen from Cam so far this season. And yeah, it's a spot now where I can't really support anyone backing, laying points for the Cardinals here on the road because this is a coin flip kind of game. I would say to this point, I've been disappointed with the decision making on the part of Cliff Kingsbury. Kicking field goals inside the 5-yard line is not going to get you wins in the National Football League. That was a very, very disappointing effort from them and their ability to compete with the Ravens in week 2. And I would say that the Cardinals are a very impressive and dynamic team late in games, especially when they've kind of worn down the defense a little bit, and defenses are trying to hold leads against them. It's that they are very, very dangerous. So I'm going to look for a live spot here. Hope that Kyle Allen gets out to a nice spot, nice start, put some points up on the board against the Cardinals, and then come back with the Cardinals live look, try to get them in the plus money range again. I think a plus money bet on the Cardinals, if you've already made it, was pretty good, but at this point, I'm not laying money, not laying points for them, and the total is a complete stay away because this is really just anybody's guessing game how they're going to approach this with the backup quarterback for Carolina.
Yeah, that is a nice breakdown. I think I'm going to stay off that. Let's keep rolling. Let's move over to the Giants Buccaneers. This is a 2-unit action for me. I think the Buccaneers smack the Giants in the mouth. I'm on the Buccaneers -6.5. I'm also on the Giants team total under 19.5. You know, Arians can do great stuff with quarterbacks. Bowles is great defending. Arians and Bowles together are a great coaching tandem. I expect this Buccaneers team to get better and better as the season goes on. It's a Daniel Jones era. They set everything up for him in the preseason to look good. He still lost 3 fumbles during the preseason, 1 on a snap, 2 after being hit in the backfield. This is a Buccaneers defense that can defend the run. I'm a big Vita Vea fan. I think that this is perfectly set up for the Buccaneers at home to smash the Giants. I got plus 100. I got a plus line on my team total under. The over was -138 in my book when I took the team total under. I'm on the team total under 19.5 and the Buccaneers -6.5. Donnie, right side, Giants, Buccaneers.
Another tough one for me, just because you're going to get Daniel Jones in his first career start. It's going to be on the road. I mean, that's a tough go. And the funny thing I always like to look at that is how bad Eli Manning is. So Eli Manning is announced that he's out of the football game. It's -6.5. It actually drops to 6. So Eli Manning, some people's quote unquote Hall of Fame quarterback, is actually worse for his team than a rookie making his first career start in the NFL, which I always find kind of interesting as an Eagle fan and kind of funny. But getting back to the game itself, when you take a look at both teams here, right, Jimmy, you get a little bit of a rest break. Tampa Bay surprises, goes on the road on a Thursday night road team, picks up the victory in division, then goes back home and goes, you know what? We're 1-1. We got the Giants coming to town. We should be able to win. This game gets on paper. If I'm looking right now, I'm saying, you know what? Giants actually look a little bit intriguing getting the 6 points in this game. But when you break the game down to its common elements, the Giants have 0 playmakers. They don't have a single playmaker. Yeah, Sterling Shepard's coming back. Congratulations. It's going to be a rookie quarterback on the road in a hostile environment. Now, the funny thing about this game when you try to look at it is, well, you still got to bet Jameis Winston. We don't really know how good the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have some playmakers. They can get after the pass rush. They got an average secondary best. You have playmakers at wide receiver, a good tight end, a quarterback that if he's not pressured, which he won't be pressured by that Giants front this weekend, Tampa Bay should be able to win this football game. As hard as it says that you're going to take Tampa Bay to win by 7 or more, there's no reason to believe they can't do it. The Giants are inept, and they have 0 talent.
I agree completely. This to me is a Buccaneers smash situation to me. And we've already heard from Arians. He says the key to stopping the Giants is slowing down Saquon Barkley. We know it's how good Saquon Barkley is. But I like that look. I say you put 7 or 8 in the box. You say, Daniel Jones, you beat me, and you just send the heat towards Daniel Jones and see what happens. Well, Capper, am I too confident in these Buccaneers?
No, it makes sense to me. If this was a -3.5, -4, I'm laying the points and backing the Buccaneers here. I don't love what we've seen out of their offense to this point. I don't love Leftwich's coordinating. I don't love their scheme. I don't love Jameis Winston's decision making. There's a lot of question marks about Tampa Bay, and it goes the same kind of story as the Falcons here. Like, somebody's got to win the NFC South. Like, why not the Bucs? I mean, it's a tough. This is an important one to win if they're going to compete for that division. And I think they will win. All that said, my angle here, I'm expecting a first half under here. I would expect that the Giants are going to roll out a pretty vanilla look, try to get some reps for Daniel Jones, make sure he doesn't make an early mistake, get himself in in over his head, keep themselves within striking distance. So I think you're going to see them lean pretty heavily on Barkley, a move which Tampa Bay should be well prepared for. And then, when you inject a new starting quarterback into your team, you can get some of your players who are kind of replacement level to play up a little bit. And so we may see an honest effort out of the Giants here in the first half. So I would look for a first half under. And in concert with that, this Giants defense is super thin. If they're out there and getting reps in this heat in the first half but playing well, maybe my favorite smash on the whole board is going to be coming back on the second half over here, because we should see this game open up as we get deeper into the contest. And if I'm thinking we're going to see something like 10-3, 7-3 ish potentially at halftime, real low scoring snooze fest, and then come back with just some deeper shots, some more tests, some big points here in the second half. So I'm looking for a first half under, second half over in this game.
That's very interesting. Look, I like it. Let's move on to Texans Chargers. When this total came out, I was like, man, it's so high. Maybe I should jump on the under here. I know Flash star of the odds market did jump on the under, and it's gone up. Not a lot, but it's 48.5 and 49. This Chargers running game, no decline without Melvin Gordon. Eckler rolling. Justin Jackson, the two combined, 5.7 yards per carry. Eckler leads AFC in scrimmage yards. He's rolling. Hyde and Duke Johnson also have looked really good. And I've always wanted to see Hyde with, load management, and that's what we're getting here. I think Hyde can be a nice piece to this puzzle. Merciless has been spectacular. J.J. Watt still looking for his first sack. Bosa and Ingram have not done as much as I was thinking, but, in comparison to the Broncos, they've done quite a bit. It's still combined for 2 sacks, still getting a pass rush. And then the Chargers have these issues of place kicker Badgley. They're hoping to get Badgley back after he missed 2 games because of that groin injury. Ty Long handling both kicking and punting. It was ugly, missed a pair of field goal attempts last week. I've not made a move on this game. I've not made a move on this game at all. Donnie, RightSide, Texans, Chargers.
A tough one. It is a tough one. And I guess, it goes back to my bias when you're trying to look at the Texans. They have an unbelievable wide receiver core. They have a dynamic quarterback that should be able to move the football with ease. And they always stall inside the 5 because Bill O'Brien is a moron as a head football coach. When I try to take a look at offensive capabilities between both of these football teams, Houston should be able to move the ball a little bit more fluidly. But that having said, again, it's still the Texans. You saw them last week. They should have put that Jacksonville team away. You're telling, Gardner Minshew comes in and you say, hey, you know what? They're going to score 12 points or 13 points. Houston should have walked away with that football game. They were completely inept on offense, and I don't see it changing this week. They're not just going to roll out of bed and just start dominating a really good pass rush by the Los Angeles Chargers. In this way, I probably won't have an official play, but it's just as simple. It gets down to it. Houston's going on the road. They're woefully coached. Their quarterback's going to probably get his brain beat in once again in this football game. Give me the -3. I'll take the Chargers in this game.
Wow, and Jay Peach saying the same thing. He's saying Chargers first half full game. Says Chargers first half large. Wow, Jay Peach says, I'm a Texas fan from day one. Trust me, Chargers first half full game. We will be embarrassed in this game. Eddie Euler leaning to the over. Whale Capper, Texans, Chargers.
Yeah, I thought this line was exactly correct, actually. If I was lining this game and I was lining this total, I would have hung exactly what they opened this. And the fact that it's been bet up doesn't make a ton of sense. The fact that the Chargers have taken money doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I think the only thing that we know about this game is it's probably going to be decided by some coaching blunder. Now, who makes that blunder? Is it Bill O'Brien or Anthony Lynn? It could be, anyone's guess. And so this is an easy one to stay away from for me. And if I had a lean, I would lean on the under. But this game should be good, should be fun. 2 teams that made the playoffs last year. I can't muster any interest in watching this snooze fest.
Wow, interesting. Okay, Steelers-Niners. Let's move on to Steelers-Niners and keep the pace rolling. Niners open up at -7.5 at plus money, plus 107. Now -6.5. There is a 7 in Bovada, 6.5 everywhere else. This total opened up at 43.5. It went down to 43. I jumped on the over 43 at -103. I thought I was getting a steal here. I think that Rudolph, I really think that Rudolph can roll. I think that he can look good. He played well last week. 12 and 19, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. That came off of a tip pass, so it wasn't a real pick. Mm-hmm. The Niners don't have Joe Staley. That's going to make things a lot easier for the Steelers to get after Jimmy G. We're going to see Minkah Fitzpatrick. Niners are just rolling on the road here. And then we have this Steelers situation where when they come into the Mountain or Pacific time zones dating back to 2015, they lose, and they lose. They just continue to lose in that situation. But I'm still hesitant to back the Niners at this price, even though after watching their first 2 games on the road, they won back-to-back road games to open the season for the first time in 30 years. I could understand why someone would back them. I'm on the over 43 here. Donnie, RightSide, Steelers, Niners.
Yeah, I like your look on the over in this one, to be honest with you. Anytime you have the San Francisco 49ers, if they're an over football team, they're going to have a dynamic play call. It looks like Jimmy Garoppolo is rounding into form. They got weapons they can use. And their defense, look, they do get after the pass rush, but the secondary still a little bit suspect. You're right about last week when you watched Mason Rudolph play. Now, I think he was tipped off to this game. And the reason I say that is he gave a couple, post-game quotes that said, sort of hinted around that we knew Big Ben's arm was, a little bit down and we didn't know. So he was preparing as a starter, which is great. So if he was preparing as a starter and came in cold into the football game, he played really well, Jimmy. 2 touchdowns. I want to say no interceptions because that interception wasn't his fault. I thought they were live, and the Pittsburgh Steelers win that football game unless it was a Hercules effort by obviously, Russell Wilson up in Seattle, who does that so much. What did he go, 30 for 35 on the road in that football game? Willed them to win with his legs. And of course, Pete Carroll at the end of the football game ramming through a late first down to seal up that game. But this game is a little bit different because, again, you're getting back to the point where you're saying, all right, like the Buffalo Bills scenario, we're not looking as the hunted here to try to hang around in football games. We got to put you away by a touchdown at this point. The 49ers haven't shown that effort over the past couple of years in order to do that. Leaning towards the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game, but I like your look on the over. I do.
Leaning towards the Steelers is Donnie RightSide, but liking the look on the over. Whale Cap or Steelers-Niners?
Yeah, I backed the Steelers in this one. This will be the third straight week that I will have backed the Steelers. I'm 0-2. This will be the third straight week I have faded the Niners. I'm 0-2. So this will put a cherry on this if I go 0-5 here against betting on these two teams, and then I'll have to stay away from them for a couple weeks. But I would say that the look ahead here, we were expecting to see Steelers minus 1.5 point favorites. They open it up 9 points swing. That's not commensurate for the level of play we've seen from Ben Roethlisberger to this point in the season and what we saw from Mason Rudolph in the first game. I thought that they called a lot more play action. It was refreshing to see from the Steelers. That's exactly how you run a plus EV offense in today's NFL. They roll that approach out against this Niners team. They're going to score some points and they're going to be in this game. They're live dogs, and I took them plus the points and expecting a pretty tight contest here. Niners got a perfect week of preparation for last week. They were utterly spectacular in that Cincinnati game. Now they've got a whole week at home, reading their press clippings, getting a whiff of how great they are. They're off to this 2-0 start. They're going to compete for the NFC West. This is potentially a letdown spot for them, and I think the Steelers are alive in this game.
Wow, very. I can't wait to watch this game. I'm probably going to stay off the side at this point and just take this over 43. All right, let's keep rolling. Let's move on to Saints, Seahawks. The total opened up at 44.5. It's been around there all week. There are a couple 45s. Seattle opened up minus 5.5, down to 4.5. Now there's 5s on the board. Again, there were 4s on the board at one point. And, Saints are still a good football team. And I think that Sean Payton can create a game plan to play to Teddy's strengths. I know that Alvin Kamara is going to get a ton of touches. And we know that Seattle's offense is just Russell Wilson, but Seattle's a very, very tough place to play. I was leaning towards the Saints and the under, and I haven't pulled the trigger. Seattle 15-0 in September home games since Carroll took over in 2010. Saints pass rush has produced 9 sacks through 2 games. Donnie RightSide, Saints, Seahawks.
I'm trying to factor in, because I saw it open up 5.5, 5, and yesterday, even out of DraftKings and FanDuel, there was actually a 4 showing on Seattle, and I was so close to pulling the trigger, but I just took a step back and I said, you know what, let me see some more practice reports, see what I get out of it, because looking back at the tape with New Orleans, and forget about the games, with Drew Brees at quarterback, what he played, maybe a quarter in that football game, Teddy Bridgewater looks like he's just stealing money in the NFL. He's not even giving them a chance to even move the football. He was brutal. They paid that guy a lot of money that I hear, well, he came in cold this week. When you're getting paid like $10 million a year as a backup, you can't come in cold. And it's not a guy that said, I've never started in the NFL. I'm really green to this, or in a really tough environment. The LA Coliseum isn't all that tough of an environment to go in and play into when you talk about crowd noise. So now I'm led to believe that maybe we're going to get a look at Taysom Hill, who's like Tim Tebow Jr. at quarterback, and mix him in with a little Teddy Bridgewater. Where are the points coming from? And also, let's not forget, when we take a look at the Seattle side of the football, they'll be okay in the secondary. One of the best linebacking cores in the NFL. And oh yeah, how about this? Jadeveon Clowney now plays at defensive end. And you know who's coming back this week? Ezekiel Anza, another elite pass rusher that's going to come after Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill. I'm only going Seattle or nobody in this game. I understand if you're going to be sharp and, hey, they're going to get the ball to Kamara 35 times in this football game. The Saints now on the road getting a dose of their own medicine, back-to-back road weeks. You go in to play to L.A., you're not really built for the grass. Now you go up to Seattle, which is a turf game, which you're used to. But now instead of you having that major advantage at getting off the football, now all of a sudden without Drew Brees making all those calls up front, Teddy Bridgewater's not going to be able to hear anything. And is Taysom Hill going to make the right checks at the line? Seattle or nobody in this game for me.
Fiji Boy says, bet your 401k on the Seahawks money line.
Wow.
Whale Capper, Saints, Seahawks.
Yeah, we're going to retire twice. This is huge. Okay, so I backed the over in this spot. I'm expecting that, and a lot of it was just based on the Seattle's going to score their points. Seattle's going to make their team total. Their floor is probably about 28 in this game. And I look at the Saints and I think, okay, well, yeah, Teddy Bridgewater has been poor to this point as a starter for the Saints, but every time he's been put in the game, it's been with the system that they have crafted specifically for Drew Brees. I don't think that he fits that system well. I think with the week of preparation on the West Coast, we've seen what kind of a week away from home, kind of focused, concentrated prep did for the Niners last week. I think you see the same sort of impact this week, and we're going to see some wrinkles. We're going to see some surprises. They're going to catch Seattle a little bit off guard here, and they're going to score some points as well. I don't know if Seattle actually covers or not. It's a little bit of a long number for a team in the Saints who are still expected to be contenders in this NFC. I don't believe it myself, but they're still expected to be. And they have some diverse weapons in the offense, with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. So they're still going to be able to move the ball. They're still going to be able to score points in this one. So I backed what I thought was a pretty short over. And I think this is a pretty high scoring type of contest. The Seattle Seahawks, just in general, I think are fooling some people because they're running the ball a lot. But with one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league and with the defense that's a little suspect, this is a team that I think plays to overs more than they play to an under as we move forward here in the NFL.
An interesting look. Let's keep rolling. We have Rams, Browns, Bears-Skins to call this show a wrap. Rams, I could have got the Rams at -2.5 and -125. I took the Rams -3 at +101. Now, if you want the Rams at -3, it's -125 or -120 bet online. But I'm not blowing smoke. You could have got the Rams at -1, and our Jin Rummy on Betting with the Bag, he got him at -1. So I get that. I completely get that look. But I just think, regardless of the injuries, and we know there's a ton of injuries, I still back this Rams team. I just think from a simple, we knew the Browns were riding a ton of hype. They get a humbling week 1. Then they feel good about themselves beating up a Jets team that had nothing going for them in week 2. I just think the Rams are better. I'll take the -3 at +101. That's how I'm handling this game. I was interested in this under, opened at 51, now down to 47 or 47.5. Donnie, RightSide, Rams, Browns.
Yeah, I'm about to get in on the Rams here because I was just waiting as you're setting that game up, going through the practice report today, and there's some key injuries that they do have. Now, David Njoku being out, I mean, it doesn't help your football team, regardless, or any injuries that you have, backup offensive linemen, and you're even going to miss one of your top linebackers in Christian Kirksey. They're not really the important guys. The important guys are that popped up on the sheet this week on Wednesday was Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams. That's your 2 starting cornerbacks in the NFL, and 2 pretty good starting quarterbacks. They go through limited practice on Thursday. They didn't even practice today on a Friday, which is real damning for your availability to be on Sunday. So let's just say even if you get to Sunday and it's a night game, right, Jimmy? You're talking again about athletes. Athletes have no idea about their hamstrings whatsoever. They'll say it's just a little bit of a cramp. Next thing you know, they're out 6 to 7 weeks. They do it all the time. So if you're going to go into this game as a cornerback, this isn't an offensive lineman. This isn't a tackle. This isn't a guard that's got to go 3 feet and just gut it out. You're talking about high-octane athletes on the outside that are going to have to go up against the Rams wide receivers. One little tweak in the first quarter, and they're down. And if they're activated, which means that another cornerback's probably going to be deactivated for that. So you might be able to lose 2 cornerbacks in the space of a single game and not have the guys to actually make up for it. This is a Rams game for me. What did you like out of the Cleveland Browns who, Freddie Kitchens said, hey, guys, we found out a lot about our football team after this game. You didn't find out anything. The Jets were absolutely pathetic and we're going to be not a single foot. They wouldn't even beat the Miami Dolphins in the last game that they played. They were that horrific on offense. This is a Rams game for me, even though it's going to be a great atmosphere in Cleveland. They're going to be really excited to play this football game. You got a guy that has one-handed catches and wears watches. They're a real shiny object out there, but the class of this football game is clearly on the Los Angeles side.
I agree. And the Sports 78 says fade Jared Goff against above average to solid defenses, taking Cleveland +3. I understand that mentality quite a bit. I just think the Rams are just better than the Browns, and I'm going to take the better team here. Whale Capper, we got to be tight here. Rams, Browns.
Sure. So I got ahead of the market here on the under. I'm on under 49.5 at a plus money number. It's been bet way the hell down now. I don't think there's value on the under anymore, but I do think there is still value to bet the Rams in this game. And the Rams are absolutely head and shoulders class above the Browns right now in terms of their ability to win this game. Browns, that quote was that Donnie just gave us was laughable. Like what we learned about the Browns in that Monday Night Football game, that the offense you're calling, Freddie Kitchens, is not working for Baker Mayfield. You need to make some adjustments. You need to change your personnel schemes. You need to, and until you get your full complement of receivers and tight ends back and healthy, you absolutely have to make some changes. And it doesn't sound like he's got that figured out yet. So I don't think the Browns here are getting, into the 20s here against the Rams defense that has some really nice pieces. The Aaron Donald Fowler combo is going to wreak havoc on Baker Mayfield. We know that the Browns are going to try to get the ball out of his hands faster because they don't want him taking hits. All this spells trouble for the Browns. I think you see a game end not unlike we saw the Rams Saints, where it was opponents in single digits, and the Rams land in the mid 20s. So I like your look laying the points with the Rams on the road. Last thing to mention, we consistently see good teams from the West Coast that travel and play in prime time on the East Coast. They have a body clock advantage. They are ready to go. They are, they are up for the moment, whereas the other team is kind of winding down for the day. And I think that plays a little bit into how these two teams come out and show us, their effort on Sunday night.
I love your under. I think that was a great look. I'm not going to jump on it now. We got to go, but we have Bears-Redskins as a Monday nighter. I took the under 41.5, thinking I was going to beat a market move. I guess I sort of have. There's 41s on the board. I got under 41.5, minus 105. I also took the Redskins team total under, but the more I study this game, the more I'm a little uncomfortable with what I've seen from the Redskins defense. But I'm not sure if the Bears can exploit it. We've got to go, Donnie, quickly. Bears-Redskins Monday nighter.
Real quick, I need 3 or less to ever take the Chicago Bears right now at this point. You know me, the ultimate Bears lover. And just from a defensive perspective, the Chicago Bears will be able to shut down absolutely that Washington Redskins offense. Maybe a 6-3, Jimmy. I think you're going to be fine at the 41.5. I do.
Okay, well, that makes me feel good. Whale Capper, what do you think of this Monday nighter?
I could see a 6-3 in the first quarter, but I like an over here. This is playing to an over because the deep attack that we're seeing from Case Keenum is working. He's got some young, talented, speedy receivers that he's connecting with well down the field. Maserati Mitch snaps out of his funk. First defense he's going against that really is quite soft. And a couple key pieces out on defense too for the Redskins. So I think this is more of a track meet, and a low total like 41.5 is worth backing it over.
After I studied this, I was uncomfortable. Keenum, 601 yards, 5 touchdown passes, no picks. We know what he's doing. Brendan W. says Bearskins over is a great play. I'm a little uncomfortable. We've got to put a bow on this. Let's jump up. Rafa, could you please put up Whale Capper's action? Whale Capper is a bunch of looks on this card. This is Whale Capper's action. There it is. There are his looks. Right there. That's Whale Capper's action. And Donnie RightSide only got 1 play on this card, but more will possibly come. He's looking good this year and does not need to force any plays. That is Donnie RightSide's action right there. Cardinals plus 2.5. We've got to go. We've gone a little bit long today. We've got to move this around because betting with the bag starts in 9 minutes. Donnie RightSide, great work. Do you have any final thoughts to these great cappers in the chat?
Yeah, we'll keep it quick. Thanks, guys, for popping in the chat box. Love to talk NFL. It's a lot of fun. And this week is a really topsy-turvy weekend, so a lot of things going to play out over the weekend based on these practice reports and who's available. Thanks for tuning in. We don't want to keep Jimmy up from his next show, so tune in next Tuesday. We'll be back rocking and rolling again on the Audible and having fun all throughout football season right here at sportsbookreview.com.
There he is, Donnie RightSide. Whale Capper, any final thoughts for these great guys in the chat?
Ooh, we're still learning a lot about these teams. Week 3 is going to be a tough one. We're going to roll through this and put together a winning week at long last here. But I got to tell you, looking ahead to week 4, there are some absolute beauties, some absolute bangers on the horizon. So tune back in next week, and we'll keep this rolling in the right direction.
Thank you guys so much for watching. It means the world to us. On behalf of Donnie RightSide, the Whale Capper, and myself, you guys in the chat are the reason why this show is special. Let's keep rolling for those of you who are rolling, and let's start rolling for Whale Capper and myself. Much love to you guys. Can't wait to see you guys next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Talk soon.